When was the last time you purchased something and you weren't asked for a tip? Yeah, I can't remember either.
Tipping culture has gotten out of control. I get up to the pay window and she's like, how much do you want to tip? What am I going to tip you for? I'm in the drive-thru. Oh my God.
Tips have been on the rise for decades. During the 1950s, people commonly tipped 10% of the bill. By the 1970s and 1980s, that jumped to 15%. Today, people tip anywhere from 15 to 25%. According to one 2022 survey, consumers said they tipped more than 21% on average.
Nowadays, there are people who argue 20% is kind of a cheap tip.
While the percentage that consumers are tipping at full-service restaurants in the past couple of years has remained about the same, in the fourth quarter of 2022, the number of tips provided at full-service restaurants grew 17%. Meanwhile, the tip frequency at quick-service restaurants such as coffee shops and fast food chains rose 16% during the same time period.
What we're seeing now nationwide is something that is known as tipflation. At every opportunity, we're being presented with a tablet that's asking us how much we'd like to tip.
In many cases,
So let me give you a little bit of my experience and one of the reasons why I find this interesting. A lot of you, first of all, are familiar with my stance on tipping. I believe that when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. The other side of the equation is that I'm also understanding of it because I've owned, ran, and I'm also a silent investor in several different restaurants, right? So I know exactly what the financial impact is and what the incentive is for people to tip. I don't think that there's one place that I go into today, including going to get a massage or whatever, where they don't ask for a tip, where they don't have a tip jar, where they don't have a sign that says not asked for, but certainly appreciated and all of this other type of stuff. I think that we've become a part of a culture in which even the women today will look at you funny if you go out and you give a less than 15, 18, 20% tip. 15, 18, 20% tip. I went into a bar the other day that's right up the street, one of my favorite bars to go to on a regular basis. And you know how you can see the bill or when somebody had get up and it's you waiting for them to get up. And so you sit down at the bar because I'm usually at the bar. I'm never in a booth. And then you actually go and you sit at the bar and you can kind of see what people tip, right? And so I had seen somebody with like an $80 bill and they had only left like a $1 tip. Now, I've always been a United States of America citizen. I'm not from any other country. I know that Nigerians and Jamaicans and people that are from other countries are notorious for not wanting to tip. They're notorious for not wanting to tip, right? And so I come from a culture where I've always believed tipping was necessary because I was conditioned to believe it, and I still believe that to this day. And I always, I got a subscription service for my car wash, right? And so when I jump in my car and I'm coming down here or I'm coming home, I'll usually run through the car wash because I need my car to be fresh when I'm driving through the streets. And I just keep a whole lot of fives. Like I just stop in the beginning of the week and I get like $400 in fives. And then I'll get a few 20s. I'll get $100 in 20s and $400 in fives. And so all throughout the day, I'm tipping. I'm giving money to the different people. And they don't even be tipping half the time. A lot of times I just be giving money away, right? But I'm tipping. I'm tipping the guy at the car wash. Not the guy that drives the car, the guy that sprays the car. I tip the guy at the car wash. I tip the person that opened the door for me. I give some money away when I'm on a queue line and I'm getting out and I jump out in front of the Health and Human Services building. And so I'm always just giving away money. And so that's just kind of been the thing that I've believed in my life because my family has always said that you take care of the people that take care of you the most. But I've also understood that me being overly generous, in my opinion, and based off of my experience, has yielded me even better results because people then give me information. They give me tips. They tell me where it is that I can save more money. They introduce me to other people that I then do business with. And so the best way to really get I'll give you an example. This is just a social me, right? And I'm going to play the video after this. the best way, for example, and I'm going to read Super Chat shortly. Thank you, Blaze. The best way, for example, for you to really get a feed on what's happening, whether it be at the bar, who coming through, what the new opportunities are, is your dealers and your bartender. The bartender will give you the skinny on whoever it is that's sitting at the bar, who's who. The first thing that they do is they make room for you and they say, hey, Anton, and they tell you everything that's going on, who you need to be introducing yourself to. Hey, Anton, make sure you, because this person, we got such and such come in and you might want to stick around for another hour, so on and so forth. And so me taking care of them ultimately makes sure that they overly take care of me, and which it's yielded better results, right? When I go into the casino a lot of times, and I just make sure that before I ever put some money on the table, I make sure that I tip in everybody in, and I give them a percentage of anything that I win if I win. They give me the skinny on every single thing that's happening, what's about to take place, who's coming through, what's about to be shut down, so on and so forth. And so they give me the skinny on all things happening within the city, within the facility, who's coming, who's going, who told them this, what girl is going to be sitting over there, and whether she available, and whether or not she just rock with him, and she rock with him, and if this guy is with her and who's her husband, in order for me to make sure that I bring it. They tell you everything. And so I'm never just looking at things just based off of the surface. And so when people, say, well, I'll never, they don't deserve it. I'm not doing it based off of whether they deserve it or not. I'm doing it because I know that it's the same way of how I pay my people. Me compensating people more or treating them better than other people treat them then yields me better results. That's why my people are loyal. That's why my people don't quit. That's why I've been able to retain employees, is because I incentivize them, or I make sure that I tell them I care for them, not in the things that I say to them, but the things that I do for them, which then yields me a much better result for the things that we do in business in. Let me continue.
Cases, not only replacing the old-fashioned tip jars that you could feel good about throwing some spare change into, but actually suggesting tip amounts, often right in front of the employee receiving that tip. Not to mention also your dinner date and the dozen or so people standing behind you in line.
And it's gone beyond just the tablets. The other day I was using the Hopper app to book a hotel, and it wasn't until I confirmed my payment that I realized my hotel was $10 more expensive.
But here's the thing though, right? When I go into my hotels, right, whether I'm on the Marriott app, I shouldn't even have said that because they haven't sent the bag. Shout out to Marriott for not fucking sending the bag. Whether I'm on the Marriott app or whether I got a guest over at the MGM Grand Hotel, every single person, including the management on down, knows that when I walk into the door, that you treat Anton, you give him the highest floor, you give him the best room, you take care of his guests. They already know exactly what it is that I'm supposed to do. And so I always make sure I take care of them extra. I take care of them extra. And they're going to make sure that you get the corner suite. They're going to make sure you get all of the upgrades, the whole 9 yards. I'm not tipping because of what it is that I'm expecting for them to do with the money or whether they deserve it or not. I'm tipping more because of what I get in return and the fact that they always making sure that I'm taken care of. Think about it. Think about what I'm saying. You can cheap out your whole life, but you don't know what you don't know. And so everything you need to do is looking at it from a business perspective.
It turns out Hopper assumed I wanted to add a tip.
What do you mean Hopper is adding? Nah, I don't know about that. That's wild. Hopper is asking for a $10 tip? Come on, fam. I don't use apps like the Hopper anyway, but that's just me.
I had to go back to a prior page in order to opt out.
Tipflation refers to not just that we're tipping more, but we're tipping everyone for everything.
You're being guilted into tipping on something that is not technically a service. It's someone simply doing their job. In those situations,
I agree with that on a lot of these different things. But I'm expecting exceptional things from the people that's around me, and so I treat them accordingly. What did I just do? All right, let me see if I can get that up again. Hold on.
But we're tipping everyone for everything.
you're being guilted into tipping on something that is not technically a service. It's someone simply doing their job. In those situations, consumers are feeling resentful. Where do you draw the line?
Oh, Ash, I'm a Marriott Titanium member also, big dog. Titanium Elite, baby.
TIP stands for to ensure promptness. Tipping may go back as far as the Roman era, but according to most experts, the practice likely has its origins in medieval Europe.
Noblemen taking passage on roads would throw coins to the rubble to ensure safe passage. One theory is that it evolved in eating and drinking establishments as a way to forestall envy, that when you're eating and drinking, you're having fun, and the people who are serving you are not.
Fast forward to the 19th century, when waiters who received a full wage went on strike demanding higher wages, they were replaced with women who employers could pay less. A decade later, there was the population of newly freed slaves. The idea from these restaurant owners was that they were giving the luxury or privilege of a white person's tips. That was without a full wage.
Ironically, as tipping exploded in the United States, it became less common in Europe and was replaced with service charges.
While the first federal minimum wage law was passed in 1938, it wasn't until almost 3 decades later when the tip minimum wage was established. Consumers say they feel pressured to tip more. They're being asked to tip prior to service completion.
Asking for a tip beforehand is almost like a bribe.
That's true.
Right? I'm afraid not to tip because, well, you do less good work.
Customers might not be concerned about the barista's perception of their tip before getting their latte, but what about the mechanic repairing your car? I don't know about you, but I'm certainly going to make sure to tip them well to ensure my...
Let me tell you what the real problem is. There's no need in having an extended conversation about this. Let me tell you what the real problem is, right? It's the same thing that's the problem with everything else that we have going on in the United States of America and everywhere else in the country, right? I'll show you the Lamborghini. The problem that we have is that we take one thing and then we make it way more than it's supposed to be. So tipping is supposed to be essentially for the servers, right? It's supposed to be for the people, and it's the reason why they make X amount of dollars, whatever they used to make, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 an hour or whatever. And they're supposed to be, okay, it's like sales. You eat what you kill. And so the expectation here in the United States of America specifically was that you tip good service. And it incentivizes them to give you great customer service, okay? The problem is that now, as usual with everything, people take it and they capitalize off of it. And so everybody is expecting, not appreciative of, but they're expecting a tip as a result of the things that they do or they're supposed to do or what they've chosen to do. So I agree that it is out of control. I'll give you another example. I seen somebody, Dr. Wilmer Johnson, for example, right? He tells people to hit the Cash App, hit the Cash App, hit the Cash App, right? Now, I jumped on this live stream today and I'm live streaming, right? And on the replay of the live stream, when people go, now, an ad played in the very beginning of this video. If you don't have YouTube Premium, the ad played in the beginning of the video. And it's a possibility that an ad will play at the end of the video, right? And then on the restream, there will also be, if people restream this app or if somebody come in and watch it later, there will probably be ads in the middle of this restream, right? But you will never see me say, hey, why y'all not giving super chats? Why y'all not giving Cash Apps? What I say is, you are not required to, and I will never ask you for a super chat or a Cash App. However, I am always going to acknowledge it, and I'm appreciative because it is something that you guys choose to do. It is not something that I have an expectation for. I chose to live stream. I'm going to possibly make a halfway decent amount of money from the ads that then people restream the live stream for. Or I can choose to just drop a pre-recorded video. It is not a requirement, right? And so just because people do it doesn't mean that other people should be required for it. I'm always going to be appreciative of anything that's why I appreciate the dollars. If somebody give $1.99, I'll be like, listen, thank you. I'm showing all super chats and so on and so forth. So to be appreciative of something versus requiring something is two different things. And I think that people have now got an entitlement mentality, and that they're requiring and expecting you to do something that they then chose to make a part of their profession on a regular basis. And you are not required to tip these different types of people that I don't believe is a standard, right? If you go into a place and they doing service and they serving you, as far as like you go into a restaurant or whatever, yeah, that's cool. But if I go into a hotel, I'm paying for the room that I paid for. Now, if I tip them and say, hey, listen, thank you, I appreciate you or whatever, if they choose to treat me even better, then that's just something that's extra. But I should not expect for anything to be more than what it is. And they should not expect to be tipped as the front hotel desk staff. And that's where I think that the problem is. That's where I think that the problem is. And so, listen, I think that every content creator is different. Everybody got a different way of doing it. Me personally, I am not going to require anybody to do anything because I'm appreciative, but I chose to do this. Now, the other side of the conversation is, are you adding value for a service? And that's where we then say, okay, listen, I'm giving you game. If you want the extras, if you want to understand the reverse snowball method, if you want to look at the interview like a king, if you want to look at the 8 things that I look for when I'm looking to make an investment, I can choose to then add that as a service. And then I say, listen, that is a part of the Patreon, and this is a group of people in networking. And then I show up and then I meet y'all and all of this other type of stuff, right? I do these webinars, I bring these special guests, I make sure that I give you exclusive content, uncensored, and so on and so forth. That's a completely different thing. Then I'm giving you the option to then do something extra on top of that if I want to give you exceptional value for whatever it is that you decide that you want to contribute as far as for that is. But there is no expectation, and we should never be requiring anybody to do anything. And if you do, then you should be giving them a service, an additional service that goes along with that. And you should disclose that before they decide to be able to patronize you. So I just operate differently. I've never had a course. I've never sold a course. I'm not knocking anybody that sells a course, but I think that people that sell a course is offering a service. They're offering a service. And so if you find value or you think that you can get value from that course, then you can go and spend your $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in order to get that course. Me, on the other hand, you know what I'm saying? I give people an opportunity to be able to leapfrog off of what it is that we already doing. And if they want to, get the full service experience, then that's what they have available. And if not, then I chose to do this. I chose to jump on YouTube. I chose to live stream. I don't deserve anything more than whatever it is that people decide that they wanted to give. And I appreciate that. I'm always going to be appreciative no matter what. And you're never going to see me say, listen, I need you to make sure that you hit the Cash App or whatever, or make sure you send a super chat. That's just me personally. Everybody else got their way of doing it. I got a completely different way of doing it. And so I'm rocking out like that. That's just my way of doing it.